special called meeting, January 20th, 2015. The purpose is to discuss and or take action on the fire station. This meeting is hereby called to order. I would like to ask Resident Reverend Denny Manning if he would lead us in our invocation and pledge to the flag. Everyone would please stand.
Let us pray, please. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you this evening, Lord. We thank you for that opportunity to be able to be here, Father. Bless this meeting, help us make the right choice that you have us to make, Lord. Have thy way, Lord, not ours, your way. In Jesus' name, amen. Our pledge the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Janet, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mayor Lambert.
Here.
Vice Mayor Griffith.
Here.
Councilmember Cagle.
Here.
Councilmember Manning.
Here.
Councilmember Sewell.
Here.
City Manager Hyatt.
Here.
City Attorney North.
Here. All right, the first thing that I would like to do is to hear from city staff. Specifically, to start with, in regard to a couple of things that council asked for at our last regular meeting. I just wanted to kind of get a progress report on how things are coming, removing items from the fire station number 2, the impound lot, how all of that is going. So whoever would like to address that, please feel free.
Mr. Mayor and Council, the fire department after the last council meeting went ahead and went forward starting the next day. We went ahead and started removing all items from Station 2 that were inside. We've already made preparations to have the generator removed. The OP tank was removed today. The radios will be removed one day this week. It is on the schedule for this week. We don't know if it'll be today or tomorrow or Friday. We can be completely out of that station with our necessities in probably one day. We've already, we're getting prices to move the awning from Station 2 to Station 1. It's a 35-foot awning that we had a bus parked up under at one time. We're going to make that fit up against the building. We're going to actually raise one end of it up. We're going to close it in so we'll be able to park that other truck in there, be able to heat that area so we can get that truck out of the weather. The remainder of the stuff that's there, we've got cabinets, we've got appliances and such. We'll be able to move all that out within probably 1 to 2 days. We're storing the items from Station 2 over at McBride in the cafeteria at this time. It is secured, there is an alarm system there, so that's kind of where we are as far as fire department.
We've almost got the impound lot completely finished. Should be moving cars probably by tomorrow. So that would only take a matter of about a day to get the cars out, and we'll take the rest of the fencing down to be used in conjunction with what we're doing over here. So that should be completed by the end of the week. And like Chief Williams said, we should be able to completely get out of there, no later than 1 day prior to the deadline that's been set. So we should be in good shape.
All right, excellent, excellent. Now there are some materials in our packet from some engineering firms, and I know, Mr. Hyde, if you would like to address those.
We'll let
Or
Thad do that.
There you go. Dr. J.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Per the council's instruction in December, we sent out a request for qualifications that included site planning and a proposed budget for relocating the fire hall. We did not receive any statement of qualifications from any moving companies. We did receive 2 responses from Both respondents were engineering firms, or engineering and architecture firms. And both the architectural firm and the engineering firm that did not respond with the information, the primary information we were asking for. So I would advise that we reject the qualifications and move on to a more productive course of action. The common denominator between both were that it would take time to do the site preparation, soil testing, and the like in order to prepare an adequate proposed budget and to prepare to see whether the structure was even sound, if it could be moved from point A to point B, and that was a concern expressed, particularly by the architectural and design firms.
Council, do you have any questions?
Did any of them say they could move it or couldn't move it? Or did you get it?
Neither opted to respond to the first three. We asked for 3, 1, 2, and 3, and each addressed 1, 2, and 3, but they did not respond by giving us the information we needed, nor did they commit whatsoever to relocating the building. There was a fourth option, which is, what would you, if you cannot relocate the building, what would you do? And that's where we got some of that information.
Could the building not be just dismantled and used at a later date somewhere for something else?
Whether it was,
Or are we out of time now?
I think timing's an issue. I think there's the potential to surplus it and at least, at the very least, there's the potential to use it for scrap. Without recommending that, Byron Ray has some contacts in the construction community, given the work that he does at building and maintenance of city facilities, and he is going to engage several individuals that he knows, and we spoke late today. He's going to talk to them about selling the building, whether anybody's interested in making a purchase. Throw a number out there, throw their hat in the ring, or nothing else. Worst case scenario, if we can get the scrap.
There was somebody,
Better than being bulldozed.
There was somebody in Georgia
It
had
might be.
a couple of months ago that approached somebody about buying that building. I don't know, I mean, it's gonna be taken down.
Google that,
Yeah, I don't know if we'll have time. How much time we got left? 2 weeks?
A little over 2 weeks.
So, I mean, somebody just about have to start. The guy that I talked to said it would take 18 days to take down.
I think we have, what, 22 days until,
I think
We
we
have
have
to do it
around
off
16
property.
days left.
I think it was the 12th, was it?
I think we need to get something out pretty quick on that. Maybe just see if we get something that somebody would want to come in
Well,
and
we got-
purchase the building.
We got one outfit, I can't remember the name of it, that I spoke to, said they could do it for $99,000, and this being an emergency, I don't know if that's something we could approach or not. I don't know what the timetable would be or exactly.
What's that, just dismantling it?
That's, I believe that's correct.
Excuse me.
Seems like to me, we're getting a little bit of cart before the horse. We don't even have a location yet.
Well, I think part of the discussion is even if we don't have a place to put the current fire hall, if there's any part of it that could be reused or stored, or, you know,
Stored and put up in
right.
another building
So
somewhere.
I think that's,
Maybe for the dog pound or something somewhere down the road. But I just hate to see a $500,000 building bulldozed over.
As far as that goes, they can use that for a lot of firms build another building up there. Where we got tractors and lawnmowers, use some equipment up there, but building up there, something, take it apart.
This is the only bid we got for the actual building.
It was the only contact, it was the only quote we were able to receive in full.
Okay.
But I think
This
there's-
is not with no land, this is just the building installed when we decide we're going to put.
Fully finished and.
We actually
If we
asked,
go that route, yes.
yeah, we actually asked for something else and we got this. I think we have to put out a bid for building the building. Because what you asked for was removal of the building, wasn't it? In the,
Well, in addition to that, in coming out of the last meeting on the 8th, we began to look at metal buildings and the installation and finishing work that would be required to install either a temporary or permanent option for something there on the park, which was mentioned by the council. So in pursuing and investigating that, I did not got a lot of responses from individuals that couldn't do the work. One of the two certified butler CLCs in the area worked for the same development company doing the demo work over there, so we couldn't, that's MPL, we didn't want a conflict of interest. We did get a response from the other certified butler installation, CLC, and that's the memo you have in front of you. There is the potential there for a 40 by 60 by 8. This says 18, which we originally discussed, and given economies of scale, he'd be willing to go up, give us another 4 feet high for additional storage space, and install the building, erect the building. At $75 a square foot, which would come to $180,000 plus or minus $9,000.
Okay, are we talking about building a fire hall, or are we talking about building temporary building?
That could be a temporary building, which could be repurposed to other uses after a.
So if we're gonna build a temporary building, basically, we don't need walls and all that stuff, you just need to be an open building.
But if we don't have,
Depends on how long, that's one option.
Well, I mean, I don't see how we're gonna have any other choice to do something. We don't have anywhere to go. We've gotta be off 12, 13 days.
well, Chief Williams can talk more about the process, what he has planned, excuse me, for the current equipment to be housed over here at Station 1, and it can be as long as needed until we, either get what we would consider a temporary site or a full plan in place. If you have $180,000, like is been quoted here, and I would imagine could build something between, I have built a fire station that was a little bigger than what we had talked about. In a previous job that I had, it was $1.2 million. It consisted of 4 bays and 2 wings. We want something that's about 67% of that. So that, you can kind of work backwards from there and probably come out between $800,000 to $1 million, depending on where we went. If we took this 180, added it to that, found a permanent location where we would only do this one time, it might take a little longer. However, it would be a permanent structure. The other option would be to do something in the park, which is land we already own, $180,000, which could be a multi-use facility down the road, temporary for the fire department, but permanent for the park, because it would be something that we put up permanently that would stay for quite a while. It would be a Butler-style building, which is a metal building, would not be any brick or mortar or anything of that nature. So I think we have 2 options here. Land, we did bring, the one piece of land, but the council had decided not to go because of the way that the situation had gone with Mr. Brown and the way that they had come back to the city and kind of changed the original approval that we had gotten, which I support that decision. But we've still got a couple options on the table. We could look for some land. We've looked at a couple of spots down on that side of the road, that side of the interstate, excuse me. We've also got another option that possibly might come up potentially around the church. I tried to get in touch with Mr. Chin, but the attorney wanted to speak to me, so I had not gone any further with that. When I tried to contact him, that he did not want me speaking to Mr. Chin, which I understand that, but about a section of his property. So one thing we have to look at is the highest and best use of the land that we have in our border region as well. Do we want to take up another slice of our border region that potentially could be some additional tax dollars to take that off the tax roll? So we have I think those 2 options we need to look at. We want to consider building something in the park on land we already have that could be used for multi-purpose facility in perpetuity, and a temporary fire department, or we want to take that money, apply it to a permanent location for a fire station, which could take us a little longer. We're looking at about 3.5 months on this temporary fix, if you will, for the fire department, versus probably a 6 to 9 month period for a permanent structure for the fire department. Once we secure land.
was talking with some people that, from what I understand, that flea market area is already under,
It's what I've heard that, I don't know that for
and
a fact.
I took,
Under contract? Is that what you're saying?
it's under, whatever you call it, they're hoping.
Optional.
Optional.
I don't know that, I don't know that for sure, but I've heard that.
Well,
Because Mr. Chin is moving, or his attorney's moving that litigation forward now. He's amended his complaint in circuit court, so I don't know if that has a bearing on it.
But I took the chief down to 2 pieces of property that's on Florida Road. If that's, he said that would be suitable. I don't know if it would be, we just have something to look, I mean, if we need something, depends on which way you want to go. I mean,
I think there's a couple pieces off of Wright Street, is it Wright? That's not correct.
It's not,
Yeah, there's two houses.
before it.
What is that?
I can't think of the name of it.
State
It's behind the
line.
state line.
State line, right behind state
State line.
line. There's a couple of pieces.
I've got some questions that might help in whether we go temporary or permanent. Is the fire suppression rating the same as the ISO?
Fire suppression rating is your ISO.
All right. Now, didn't you make the statement that the ISO rating would drop if we move to this side of the freeway with the fire station?
What I said, Councilman,
Well, I'm asking for the correction that,
yeah, what I said was distribution. We use distribution in a lot of different ways. Distribution, ISO looks at distribution from where a fire station is located. They look at engine companies. The engine company response typically is 1.5 miles from where that station is. So what you typically do is you have fire stations that will be within a certain distance of each other, where our station 1 is now, okay? For us to keep that distribution, it has to be, and I discussed this with Graham personally from ISO, and he told me that it had to be on the other side of the interstate.
I was told also.
well, I got on the computer today, fire suppression rating here, we get 50 points. Fire department, a maximum of 50 points. We're based on fire departments, ISO, distribution, fire companies. Type of extent of training provided is first. Number of people who participate in training is second. Firefighter response to emergencies is third. Maintenance and testing of the fire departments is fourth. Then we get a 40%, 40 point, for the volume of the water, fire prevention. That's the 10th point. Water volume and supply.
And you have communications, you have water supply, and all this, you take a formula, you figure that formula, and then you have variances, and you figure those variances into that. And that's how you come up with your ISO rating.
Yes, sir. On the fire department, would you happen to have how they scored you on that?
As far as what now?
How we rated in the 50 points on how they scored you on that? Because
I would have to pull our
Because
regular.
I've got the thing over here showing for a class 2, for a 2, we got a score between 80 and 89.99. And I would like to know if the lower points come in the 50 or the 10 or the 40 point range to see which one is more important, the location or the adequacy of water, description of hydrant size, inspection conditions, or geographical.
These are all
The,
ISO
most
questions
important.
that I can't answer that. I can't answer it without having someone here from ISO.
Well,
I can tell you what our
they
rating
give you the
is,
grading sheet, didn't they?
and I can tell you, there's a whole lot of different things you figure into it, Councilman. There's variances that you figure into it, and I don't know how they work all the formulas out. But I can tell you right now that we are number 2,
Yeah.
and we are number 7 in the state as being a number 2. And I don't want to see us go back to a 3 or 4 or 5 or anything else.
As I recall, we were in the low 80s.
I don't know, that's what I'm.
There's a number they sent us,
81.
and I don't remember right off the top of my head what the number was that they sent us.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then theoretically losing 2 points out of that 50
Right, I understand.
drops your ISO rating.
Right.
If we're at 81 and we lose 2 points, it goes down to 79, we drop an ISO rating.
But
So it's-
our high score could have been in that top 50.
Oh, true.
That's
No,
what I'm trying to get at. or was it down here in the water supply?
But even if we got a perfect score of 50 in that section, if we move the fire station and it causes us to lose just two points out of the 50, then it takes our cumulative total down to where we drop a rating.
One thing that I heard, that
It's a good question.
if we did build it on the other side of the interstate, and it was major, some kind of wreck underneath the bridge, put out both bridges, you couldn't go across, this would be unprotected. Harris Hills and Raleigh Road area would be
Million and one
unprotected.
chance.
So, well, but that's what they look at.
Yeah, but you can also look at water supply, okay? We carry large diameter fire hose, okay? The water supply on that end has been out before. The closest hydrant was on this side of the interstate. There was no water on the other side of the interstate at all, until they tied the line in coming across the creek at the dead end of Martha and rerouted it through the bird sanctuary. And now we have a big circle. They've also done the same thing going into Georgia now. So we have another continuous circle. Our water supply, we've got some of the best water supply anywhere around. But before that, that's one of the big reasons we went to large diameter fire hose for supply line. So we could, if we needed to, we could lay out a mile of that hose, and the friction loss is 1 pound on a 100-foot section. You don't even see it at the pump panel. You know, we've looked at all these different things. But the questions as far as that, I can get the numbers for you. I can tell you what our number was that we received. The mayor and myself, we both got copies of that, along with Ridgeside's mayor, Mayor Joe. But,
Chief, let me ask you, is the ISO, is that a yearly test?
no, typically ISO would not come around unless you had major changes in the fire department. The last 5-6 years, ISO has said, listen, it's time we step up our game, and now we're going to start coming out about every 4 years and reevaluating fire departments.
And when did they reevaluate us? Last summer?
We just got reevaluated. As a matter of fact, December of 2014, it went into effect.
So, okay, it just went into effect last month.
We were rated around June, is that correct?
It was June or July, yes.
June or July, and then it went into effect. It typically takes about 6 months to get a rating back. We got ours back a little sooner.
So would I be correct in making the statement that we got some time before they come back around?
All right, when I talked to the gentleman from ISO, I told him what was going on. I told him that we had a fire station that was going to be closing in the near future. And I said, is that going to affect us? And he said, listen, he said, as long as you are showing progress, okay? And progress is showing where you bought a piece of land, you're with a developer, on and on and on and on and on. As long as you're showing progress, no, it's not going to affect it. Now, if it goes 4 years, and we go 4 years and we've not done anything, we've not done any progress, we've not bought any property, we've not built a building or contacted an architect or anything like that, yes, it will affect our ISO. They will come back in here and they will reevaluate us.
Okay, but as long as we're making
As
progress.
long as we're making progress.
Okay.
Is our town class the same thing as ISO?
I don't know what a town class is, I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, let me read it to you. How often is ISO information updated? ISO performs regular updates using data from multiple channels. Town class classes changes are updated monthly, and road-based changes are updated quarterly in locations. So I'm assuming that the ISO and town class is the same thing.
I've never heard that.
That doesn't sound right.
The town class may
Well, I know East Ridge is town class 3, because I found that out today.
may have to do with population or even geographic area.
So as long as we're making progress, they're not gonna come back around.
Michael Stokes from ISO told me personally.
Okay.
He was the guy from ISO that done our evaluation. Says as long as we're showing progress, you know, we don't lose manpower, you know, we don't lose this station, you know, nothing is gonna change right now as long as we're showing progress.
Well, with showing progress, you gotta have some land.
Well, I mean, us trying to procure the land,
What we're
It's-
doing
it's
right now is
progress. this is progress, so, I'm not,
I
The
don't
way-
want,
the
I'm
wa-
just- let me- I don't mean to interrupt you, Councilman.
go ahead.
I don't want us to make hasty decisions that we're all gonna come back and we're gonna regret. That's the reason I stepped forward and I turned that Brown property down, okay? I've done that as a fire chief, and I've done that as a citizen of East Ridge. I think it was a bad deal from the word, once we started having some mixed emotions there, and I don't think it was good. I don't think it was good in my heart. I don't think it would have been a great decision for the city.
And I commend you for speaking up. I really do. I appreciate it. Because honestly, it helps make our decision somewhat easier. Even though it eliminates one parcel of land, I don't want to make, that's what I would, you basically took the words out of my mouth. I was fixing to say the same thing. That I don't want to jump into us building a building, and we may be able to utilize it somewhere down the road. I just don't think that's good management of money. I think we ought to look at procuring some more real estate around the locations that we have talked to. If we have to, let's enter into an agreement with a real estate broker and have them get out there and them bird dog the property for us. We've talked about that in the past, not about a fire department location, but about other things. So, I just feel like we're just kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit, and I think we all just go ahead and let's get in, bring a real estate broker in here and let them go out here. Let's give them our qualifications for the real estate, and let them go out here and them talk to the property owners for a commission. Okay?
Chief, on your honest opinion, on land on Trolley Road, both of them, what's your honest opinion about that land?
Which land on Frawley Road are we talking about?
Yeah, I don't know anything
I
about it.
said both of them.
I don't know which ones, I don't know either one of them.
I think what Councilman Manning talked about, there are several lots on Trolley Road. Rumors kick around that could be possibly coming up for sale. I think there's one that does have a sign on it. I think some of that property that's being developed for the apartment complexes.
Single family home.
Townhomes are going back in our Frawley. I think some of that property going in that entrance could be an option. There is another option that has come up on the church property. I kind of want to keep this cat in the bag a little bit, but
Don't go any further then.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm going to just stop right there
That's
where it
good.
is right
That's
now.
good.
I'm kind of handling that. Things are going good. I'd like to keep it like that. But there's nothing written in stone. I don't have anything written in stone that I can bring to council, so this is where we need to be, this is where I recommend right now.
Well, one thing I really have to know, if we get, and I'm not saying we're gonna be on Frawley Road, nothing else, so I don't write that down anyway. What I'm saying, if we, next year, if we get a new ladder truck, and say if it works out that way, where, I'm not saying it will or won't, don't know what it's gonna do. What kind of situation will we be in if we get on Frawley Road and traffic's out there and everything else? How much problem will we have if you come through there for emergency?
I don't think we'll have any problems. This is the thing. Ladder trucks run all over the United States, okay? They're in every neighborhood, and Chattanooga runs Quints on just about every station. The height of a Quint, the height of our ladder truck that we're gonna be looking at, there's not much any difference. If there are power lines that are down that ladder were to get into, then that was an issue prior to. We run around boom trucks, we run dump trucks, we run sanitation trucks, and we don't have those issues. Every now and then we'll get into a line. Typically the line is lower because of storm, winds, or something like that. It's not always been like that. There's been a natural reason for that. I don't see any problems like that. If we do run into an issue like that on certain areas, we will address that. Hopefully before it becomes a problem, we'll address it at Power Board and see if we can get a line raised. Power Board will raise lines for us at no cost, you know. I don't think it'll be an issue.
What about passing on it?
I'm sorry?
What about passing?
Passing?
Yeah, passing another vehicle.
On Frawley Road?
Yes, sir.
I
I know some places on there pretty wide, some not.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem.
No further down.
We say, well, I guess when we think of it, we think big ladder, huge ladder
Yeah,
trucks.
it's not like a.
Typically, the way the ladders are formed, they're no wider than 10 feet. The lane's typically a little over 10 feet wide. They're made by that. The road department, street department, highway departments, they've got regulation on widths. When they build these fire trucks, they also do the same thing. They cannot be no wider than a certain width, so they can accommodate roadways and such. So I really don't see that being an issue. If it is an issue, then we'll address that. You're gonna run into any issue somewhere, you're gonna run into dead-end streets where you can't turn the truck around, you're gonna, Councilman Sewell knows, being a school bus driver. You know, it's the same thing, he's got certain areas he can't take that school bus into. We'll have same type of situation. And typically we'll stage that apparatus down the road if it was responding on a house fire. You get points for responding on a house fire, however, you use it when you go on a commercial fire, okay, typically.
Yeah.
Because of the resources that it can provide.
Thank you.
City
Oh,
attorney.
Yeah, Hal was gonna say something just to.
Yeah, let me suggest to you one avenue that the council may want to consider, and I know it's become say a dirty word, but a dirty phrase, is eminent domain. If we find a particular tract of property, and I think the church property has been mentioned, that perhaps we could pursue that route. And that would obviate the necessity for a realtor or commission or something like that. We'd still have to determine the fair market value through appraisal and have a contested legal proceeding. But we could, clearly the public use would be undisputed in this case. It's not like we're trying to extend the boundaries of East Ridge or something like that. We certainly need the property for this particular facility. So that's again something the council may want to consider.
Are there any, have you all looked at any of the properties down Wright?
I have gone down there in the last 3 or 4 days several times, and there are several houses there that I feel like, you know, if it was for sale, if we obtained that we could put a fire station. Absolutely, I think we've got some options down that road.
Wright Street's the one we got, and that's when we got the email, everybody got the email from, so they had 19 acres out there, they wasn't selling nothing.
Well, you know what, I mean, we can't control what his neighbors do.
Right, but what I was gonna say though, there's, on the next street up, there is a piece of property for sale.
What's the name of it?
St. Thomas, I think.
St. Thomas, yes.
There's a piece of property for sale right
Right
on
on
the
the
edge.
corner, across from the
Right
Motel
behind it.
6.
Yeah, it was there, but you know, you could maybe go
Well,
in
that-
and get that other.
I think that sign's gone now though, isn't it?
No, it's there, I saw it today.
And I have,
It's like it's on one of the properties.
Just on.
Well, we're not gonna get anywhere until somebody goes up and knocks on the door. And that's what I'm talking about. We can sit here and talk all day night, but until somebody knocks on the door, we're
But it
not
needs to
getting
be
anywhere.
somebody like he says, though, you don't need to send the city out there because.
Price goes up. But I agree with that. I mean, if we're gonna do that, we need to have a broker or some, our agent to do that for us.
On this,
I have no problem going that direction, and I do think we need to open it up. Now, we've tried to keep most of our options on or very, very close to Ringgold Road. I think we need to broaden that out a little bit. If it requires looking at lots that already have commercial or office or manufacturing building. I know Scruggs Road is mostly, there's some manufacturing, like warehouse kind of things down there. I think it's, can't remember how it's zoned, but that residential, I think we've broadened the scope of what land we're going after. You know, we find what is going to be suitable, regardless of what it looks like
Well,
right now.
here's my opinion. You know, it's not, and it's not the city council's, it's not our job to go out here and try to locate and negotiate and to procure real estate for the city. That's not in the scope of our job responsibilities. And from what I can tell, the administration may not have all the time that they need to devote to doing this. So that's why I'm bringing up the whole point about, you know, let's hire someone that's a real estate professional that does have the time.
And that's considered professional services, which is something that's my purview.
What kind of, I beat you to it, Danny. What kind of cost are we looking at?
That's what I
for
figured,
that?
say, you have a mind on that.
Well, I mean, I'll be upfront and honest. I mean, I'm a real estate broker. Okay, I've spoken to someone and I've got I have been given a commission amount, and, you know, unless we're gonna have to put it out for bid, I'd rather not say what it is right here, though.
I don't think we'd have to bid that out. If something like that, if you did a bid, you bid for request for proposal, not necessarily a bid for, and then you negotiate that after the fact. So I've talked to a couple as well, and have gotten some pretty good rates, but, you know, again, I'd rather not discuss that out here in case it does go to a bid process. But how does that, would that have to, since professional services, would we have to bid that particular thing out, or, I mean, I'm not attached to anybody in the area, so.
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of times, obviously, that's
You
more
could
palatable if you
interview.
do that. Yeah.
Right, could be just an interview process where we interview 3 or
Yeah.
4. and,
Yes,
you know,
make a
and just-
recommendation to the council.
Right.
Yeah.
Could we put a limit?
Typically, I think they're 4 to 6%, and not being in the business, but and you are, Mark, 4 to 6%. is that typically
It's probably gonna be more like, depends. If you, it can be anywhere from 5% to 10%. Just depends on who it is, how hungry they are.
And if they're not hungry, they will.
And this just has to be a real estate person, or
It has to be a licensed real estate broker in the state of Tennessee.
there's a couple live out here in East Street
Is it fine?
that I know of.
So it sounds like in terms of finding property, again, I think, I would like to see us broaden our scope, and I've heard a little bit of that here as well, as far as what kind of land we're looking at, but also that we want to perhaps give staff direction to start seeking out
Do an RFP,
Yeah.
or RFQ,
Yeah, and I think,
and, you know, put the Q in there.
Right.
That's part of the fee.
and Chief
What
Williams.
qualifies you to propose, right?
That's right.
Chief Williams and I have discussed at length, you know, the setup, temporary setup, and we feel like we've got that covered. We feel like we've got an option to park a fire apparatus at the park during the day, then to sit inside, you know, the firemen, if need be, to be inside the arena, so we have somebody down there during daylight hours for response time at night. They come back down to
Will it
the
go
to
through
the
the
fire
back door?
station. It won't go, there's too much stuff there, stuff, got a lot of stuff in the back. So he won't let us put a fire truck inside of it, and I don't think it can make the ramp.
Yeah.
But we could always set it down, you know, park it down there, station it down there during the day. We could set them up in an area to sit. I have not talked to Stumpy, he's here this for the first time, but Mike and I had talked about it, we just toss this around and stuff, so. An option there to have that, so we actually have a fire truck down there during the day for response time.
Would that not be cheaper for us to do that?
I'm sorry?
Would that not be cheaper for us to do that?
Oh, absolutely, on the front end, absolutely, short term.
Short term, yeah.
I would suggest that any contact or agreement with a broker like this after the elimination process specifically exclude any entitlement to compensation for eminent domain. For example, if a broker comes in and says, yeah, that'd be an optimum property for you, but the seller won't sell, we have to go through condemnation, I don't believe that a broker in that circumstance should be entitled. So we need to make sure and put that as part of the contract.
Another question, do we need to know the minimum size and the max size piece of property we're gonna be buying?
How big would
Square
that have to have mine?
What we'll have to do is
Absolutely.
we'll take good measurements for that. What
we got
we
now?
need. I can't go by the property at Station 2 right now because I don't need that big parking lot over the side. We don't need that. We
That
don't need
impound lot in
impound
that parking lot.
What we'll have to do is we'll have to get dimensions off, parking behind the station and a freeway station.
Are you gonna try to make this also a substation for police?
Yes.
And you got, what, 2 down here, 2 bay down here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Need 3. That's what others are coming in.
And that'd be part of the process, we go forward with design and that type of thing, get you involved architects and brick or, you know, or metal and go from there. Yeah, my recommendation would be brick, but we're not at that point yet.
As far as this piece of the overall puzzle, I think we need to memorialize it
Yes.
for for sure make it formal. So if anyone would like to make a motion, we'll entertain a motion.
I make the motion that, to direct the city manager and/or staff to, do a request for qualifications and proposals, to any and all interested Tennessee licensed real estate brokers for the purpose of procuring real estate for the new fire hall.
So,
And I would suggest putting the exclusion for the eminent domain in the original request.
We'll work with Al,
Yeah.
on that. That's got a bid package to work on Al.
sounds like study.
Could we put in there just one that's not affiliated with, no council members?
I think it should be.
I don't know him well.
Yeah, well,
You can, but the council's gonna ultimately.
Well,
have to
here's the
approve
problem.
or
I'm
disapprove.
a licensed real estate broker, have been for 20+ years, and I know probably half of them in the city. So what are you gonna do?
They just,
We just-
work for Mark.
They cannot work tomorrow.
And we'll know that in the, that'll be a process. When you get to it, I'm sure we full disclosure. Brent has a vested interest, or the mayor has a vested interest in a real estate company. I'm sorry. Sorry, I've been sick.
But I would like to see too, before making the decision on it, for the lawyer and the mayor, city manager, and Mike, all go look at it. Before we make
Oh,
a
absolutely.
decision
yeah,
on it.
definitely, right, before, any kind of.
I put that for a motion.
Well, listen, yeah, we've got one motion on the floor with a second. Any other questions about that? Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Was the exclusion for the eminent domain, is that part of the motion?
Yes.
We have a roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Manning,
Yes.
Councilmember Sewell,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. Okay, so we have that, that piece of the puzzle in place. The other thing we need to deal with is backtracking, going back to the current building.
What about the motion I made?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
Okay. I'd like to put it for motion, the attorney, the mayor, and the city manager, and Mike, go over the property, make sure that's all we need, work for our purpose.
Before it comes back to council?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a motion?
Wait, before the request for qualifications?
No,
Before we,
before we actually
Propose a
move
piece of
forward
work.
on, yeah,
Oh,
before
yeah.
the proposal comes to
Yeah,
council.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's why I say for motion.
I think all of you should look at it, actually, so.
I would hope so.
All right.
I'm not stopping nobody from looking at it, but I think y'all ought to go further and check it out.
Absolutely.
That way you can judge more about it.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
We have a second?
That was the attorney, the mayor, the city manager, and the fire chief.
Fire chief.
I don't work in fair.
I'm happy to go out and look at it. Put on my boots and walk it down.
All right, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin,
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle,
Yes.
Councilmember Manning,
Yes.
Councilmember Sewell,
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. All right, so back to the current building. It sounds like we're gonna have a hard time doing anything with it other than salvaging whatever we can salvage and move on. So I would say, I'm not gonna move to do anything in particular, but it sounds like you all are already heading in the right direction in terms of getting the things that, as Chief Williams said, were the must-haves, the needs, the needed items. You know, if we can take any other part of that building,
Take it.
metal, windows,
Doors.
whatever, that we can pull off of that bad boy and,
Yeah.
and store them.
By what date?
Sell them.
12 to the 15th.
How we have every right to do that, correct? I mean, that, until the 15th.
Now, I got some
of
big signals from the developers last time, but we
exactly.
have absolutely every
Well,
legal right
Yeah,
until that time, that 30-day period
Okay.
runs.
I think-
as long as,
We can
Once
do a lot
it's-
of damage in 15
once
days.
it's that date, I mean, Actually, I mean, I talked to him the other day, he said, you know, y'all welcome anything you want, but he said, we just need to start on this thing.
Yeah, I think they wanted to, and he didn't, you're right, Hal, he didn't articulate it extremely well initially, as it did make it sound like, hey, well, yeah, maybe you shouldn't come and get him. But I think what he wants to avoid is us being on there and saying, oh, we just need 1 or 2 more days to get the rest of this stuff, and it run them past their deadline.
But you know, the flip side of that, I would hope, based upon the cooperation that the city has had with the developers, that if we needed a day or two, if we needed some additional consideration.
Personally, I think it got down to
You
it, they probably
would hope that,
You would certainly.
I would expect that there would be some mutual give and take there, but
I'm not a
Well,
dirt
it's the
guy.
mutual part that I'm
Yeah,
concerned
I'm
about.
not a dirt guy, but I'm pretty sure they're not gonna have all their dirt moved by 12 to 15. They'll be concentrating on the dirt by then.
Well, they were talking tough the last meeting. I mean, that's.
Well, I think,
I missed that one, so I'll do what I want.
well, look at, they won't play that game, then we need to charge them rent, piling their dirt over on their property.
The understanding I had the other day when I talked to them, they were wanting the fire hall gone so they could start a pad there, because they were thinking about relocating the location of Bass Pro.
Yeah, they said they're gonna turn
They
it.
were talking about
Say it
putting it
there,
up there, that's where they
My
need their
understanding,
pad.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's a sewer line issue too.
Yeah.
They
Right.
have to move part of the sewer line
Right.
that's underneath the parking lot.
Gas line.
Mel,
that
would you
kind of stuff.
listen? Some marching orders
If
here.
they're still talking about the location of the building on the property.
They keep,
Yes.
they told me,
That's where Bass Pro wants to put it, what I was told.
Right.
that's where they were gonna put it now, before they wanted to put it in the middle of it. Now they changed their mind, they won't put it there facing the freeway.
But they're down to the 11th hour, they're adding.
You'd think, right.
They gotta do. They better decide quick where they want that store.
So we need to give them a deadline, the 12th or the 15th.
I think the 12th. I think
Well, they said the
to me
12th
said
in the
the
meeting.
12th, yeah.
That's what
And
they
then-
said.
Well, what was
then
the
we
date?
go
I
ahead
think it was the
More if
12th,
you
it was
need.
the 12th on that note.
30 days from the 12th?
Yeah.
So,
Right.
I reckon there, so
We need to, are they gonna need any, cranes or anything like that, the city to get any of this stuff?
potentially we will, we'll look at it and see, and I would imagine at some point we'll need some kind of lift to get to the top of the building to be safe.
Yeah, but we have to get some kind of, get my bed out top of it.
Be able to take the roofing off, and you'll use, I'm sure we'll try to get the metal and that type of stuff off the roof and sides. The beams might be a little difficult, but I'm sure we'll do it again.
Paints a funny mental picture, doesn't it?
Well, whenever,
But on the 11th, that they're hacking right against stuff.
whenever you start removing some of this stuff you're talking about, look at the cost to remove, okay, and store. You know, is it worth it, the cost to try to salvage it?
right, and we're gonna have to secure it because.
The high steel company would be.
That's our biggest key. We have to figure a lot of things out. We got a day or so to work on that and come up with a good plan, so obviously we've got a lot ahead of us.
On the doors, is any way
Crane
possible, y'all
rental
can move the doors off of it?
That's what I'm saying.
That was the original plan, we were discussing taking the doors off of it, storing them somewhere. If the option did come up for a temporary station in the park, and we were gonna use, parts from Station 2 now, doors, cabinets, whatever, windows, a lot of things like that we were looking at. There's a lot of stuff that could be salvaged, I mean, really and truly, I think, you know, Councilman Graham brought up a good point, the storage area. We're hurting for storage now as it is, we're hurting for, you know, area. Station 2, or Station 1, we're gonna be crowded. But, like I told the guys, I went through the same thing November 14th, 1993, and we run out of the gas station for almost 2 years. And if I can do that, and we did that, these guys here we can all move in and be family again.
Could you not put that on .gov, the building, and just maybe see if somebody wants it? It's gotta be out of here by such.
There's not sure.
I don't know if we've got enough time for that, but
Now,
that's a little over 3 weeks.
you,
3 weeks from Thursday.
you talking about crane rental? It will not be cost effective to remove those I-beams,
No.
okay?
Somebody-
If you have to go and rent a crane, it just, the cranes won't cost you more to rent it than what you can buy the new I-beams for.
Okay.
Now, if we get the city manager to take all the votes, they'll lose, and then he drive the train, Mike can use his fire truck to slow them around. But could you not handle that?
Well, we knew this was coming, I wish we had started a lot earlier.
Well, let me go ahead and ask Hal about the need to actually put all of that in motion. I said I wasn't going to, but I'm going to backtrack on that. I do want to put that in the form of a motion, just to have it, again, formalized, and so I would move to have city staff salvage any items that can be cost effectively salvaged from that building
I'll make a motion.
prior to February 12th.
I'll make a motion prior to February 12th.
That's his motion.
Okay, that's my motion. You want a second?
Second, yes, sir.
Second.
With their actual removal prior to February 12th.
Right.
That's the operative code.
Yes. All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Griffin.
Yes.
Councilmember Cagle.
Yes.
Councilmember Manning.
Yes.
Councilmember Stoll.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes. All right, do we have anything else that,
Let me mention a couple of things, Mayor. First of all, the council for consideration on Thursday is going to look at the first reading of an ordinance on the design review manual. I absolutely encourage all the council, and I ask the citizens to do the same thing, review this. This is something substantially different from what East Ridge has now. It's far-reaching, and everyone needs to be aware of what they're talking about on Thursday. So please, if you haven't, and citizens, if you haven't looked at the design review manual, please do so before Thursday when it comes on for first vote. These are, like I said, far-reaching and significant changes from the existing requirements. And so the issue is whether this design review manual, if enacted, if adopted, is going to promote development in East Ridge, or if it's going to hinder it. So again, I need y'all to look at that. Again, it comes on for first reading. Certainly we'll make any changes or modifications between the first reading and the second reading, but please read that. It's fairly thick. It's somewhat difficult to read. It reads like Greek in some places, but again, I encourage you to do that. And we'll have a pop quiz on it Thursday. The second thing is, Mimi Lowry mentioned that the last meetings, I recall, proposed legislation concerning check-into-cash facilities and pawn shops. And as most of y'all have read in the paper, no doubt by now, Chattanooga had adopted an ordinance. Well, Knoxville has adopted one, Nashville has adopted one, and Memphis has adopted one. And like I mentioned, those ordinances are prospective in nature. They don't have the ability to kick any existing pawn shop out. But what it talks about and what those ordinances deal with is what they call clustering of these pawn shop check cashing facilities. It regulates, for example, some of them, you can't locate a new one within a quarter mile of an existing one. You can't locate one within a quarter mile or 1,000 feet or something like that from a residential area. So that's what the other cities have done, and the council needs to consider whether we want to go down that road or not. So I encourage you. I have left packets in each of your boxes, and it includes those legislations from those, I guess, 4 cities, but it also includes some articles about the problems inherent across the country with these check cashing entities and then pawn shop entities and so on. And I commend that for your reading.
All right, but the old ones is here now. The reason I call them the old ones. Would they be grandfathered in?
They would.
Or would they have to go with the same rules?
Otherwise, we'd have significant litigation. But again, what it would typically apply to, somebody wants to move in next door to an existing one. A pawn shop wants to come in next to a check-into-cash facility. That would be prohibited. A new pawn shop or a new check-into-cash facility wants to come in right next to a neighborhood. That would be prohibited, something like that. But again, it would be prospective, and that's constitutionally, that's really about the only way that you can deal with it from a future or prospective basis. So again, I've given y'all a bunch of things to read and consider before we go any further with that. And that's all I have.
But again, there is no way to regulate the actual business that they do short of state legislation. The state would regulate things like interest rates.
Yeah, the state and federal, yeah, we cannot touch that. The state and federal government regulate that. That's preemptive. And so we can't come in and say every pawn shop in East Ridge can only charge X% or something like that, or every check-in his gas facility. We cannot do that. All we can do really at this juncture from a legal standpoint is try to avoid the clustering of these facilities.
Let me ask you another question.
Now, the city of Chattanooga, let me say this, the city of Chattanooga in their legislation, as you'll see in there, says that we have 22 of these facilities. It's either a check into cash or it's either a pawn shop, which the number seems fairly high to me, but I didn't do the study, I hadn't made the surveys.
Okay. Is any way possible, and all of you know what I'm talking about, some of these, not all the car lots, but some of these car lots charge 100% interest. Any way we can put a stop from charging so much interest to people buying them on cars?
That's regulated. That's just like the pawn shops and the check into cash. That's regulated by state and federal law. We can't touch really can't touch the financial aspect of it.
It begs the question, and I understand a lot of the frustration with some of these places. It begs the question, though, what's next?
Yeah.
You know, if you start looking at the things you hear most often, and I'll just be very frank. Why the check into cash places? Why the tattoo parlors? Why pawn shops? Why used car lots? Yeah, those are the four things that I hear more than anything else. Why are these here? Why can't you do something?
Before it's trailer parks,
And
trailer sales.
Again, the question becomes, if you start cracking down on these things, where does it end? When do people come in and start saying, fast food's terrible for you?
That'll be next.
We don't need all these fast food places down here. Gas stations.
Yeah, they're already hauling 35 gas.
I mean, this opens a door that I just want to make sure everyone realizes what we're doing.
Yep.
And it's absolutely good to look at. I think we should have that conversation. But I did want to bring that out as well.
There's a flip side of that, and the articles, some articles that I provided to you talk about the consideration. For example, you have family health expenses, emergency health expenses, something like that. Where in the world do you go nowadays to get a $500 loan? You go into Regions Bank, right? They run you out of there. It just doesn't happen. So there is some significant benefit, many would argue, about having these facilities. But the problems that these articles address is when you cluster them like that, and you've got rows and rows of these check into cash places like that. Some say they're haven for criminal activity. Some say that they're certainly unsightly, things like that. But there are inherent issues with those kind of facilities. And again, all we can do, if the council considers it, is avoid in the future any further clustering of those facilities together. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? The one new one that has opened up far in down the road, I won't mention the name, they got a sign about the size of this room, and it'll blind you at night or early in the morning. It's just real bright. I don't think we can tone it down, but I mean, go down there and look at it tonight. It will actually keep.
I believe that in violation of
We're
existing
gonna have the
zoning.
lumens in our sign, we're gonna have the lumens in our sign regulations.
That's
Nothing we
something
can do about that.
I know this design manual talks about you can't have a hazard by virtue of your sign or something like that.
Just out of curiosity, where did this manual come from?
Which one?
The,
Staff provided it to them.
Yeah. It wasn't my original thought, I guess is what I
And we're just looking for a place to jump off. I mean, that by no means does that mean that this is the final document. You know, we want some guidelines, we want some input from you. You know, do you want to continue to have metal buildings put up, or do you want bricks put up, or do you want, you know, what do you want? How do you want the new streets to go? Where do you want them to go? And that's huge. I mean, that says a lot about your community.
It's far reaching, it's far different from anything we've done and anything we've done in the past.
Well, let me ask you this, we got, there's quite a bit to read, is this something we need to vote on Thursday night?
It comes on for vote.
And
it regulates the size of tree. If you have a new development, new business development, it regulates the size of the trees there. If you take out a tree in a new development and you don't put the tree back, as I recall, you've got two options. You can either put it in a public facility, a new tree in a public facility, or you can pay X dollars to the city, but the city coffers or something like that.
Everybody gets very common practice, or a lot of cities to do. Very common practice.
So, please take a moment.
All right.
And I apologize, I don't have the cliff notes on that, I'll just.
One more quick question. Did this come from another city?
Yes, one that I used to be. When I, you know, we just felt like we needed a leaping off point.
That was from,
We've talked about design regs since I've been here, and we're giving you something to, you know, we can work with or not, or come up with our own and take, you know,
If nothing
time to
else,
study.
one more time.
if nothing else, it's a good example of what somebody else is doing.
Sure.
All right. Thank you all for being here this evening. Yes, no, I'm sorry.
If I can,
Yes.
bring it, I've discussed with some of them, I'd like to see the mayor, attorney, Manitoff, Ms. Brawley, the ID, you know, it's over IDB board, and to have a meeting about twice a month, just with the developers, set a time, and just have a meeting, discuss things that comes up, because, you know, we get calls from council and this, that, and the other. We have to come to y'all. I would rather everybody just that's involved there, council members don't need to be there. I mean, y'all can relate to us. It's just kind of more of a what you can do and can't do, what they're expecting, just kind of keep everybody on the same page on that. If y'all can set a time up.
I suggest.
Talk and see, it may be just a 1 month thing, I don't know.
I think to physically drag him down from Knoxville once or twice a month. I mean, if he can participate by phone, I think.
Yeah, whatever y'all want to do, but I mean, there's questions that y'all want to ask him, that way you'll have an answer to go ahead and do something. And Ruth Brawley will be here to talk to the board when they have their meeting, so.
Well, they have it, first Monday of each month,
Yeah, somewhere around there.
first Tuesday of each month, yeah.
So if y'all wanted to set, I mean, I just think it's something, because we're council getting a lot of phone calls from developers and this, that, and that. We can't give them the answers, and the answers basically gotta come from the city staff and Manitoff and our attorney, and that's who I think y'all just need to.
But are you talking about specifically the Bass Pro project or any?
Right, just Bass Pro, you know, you know, just go as long as, till they get whatever they gotta have going, and you stop it, you know, just get everybody going on board, and this is the main, I think something we need to really start pushing and help whatever we can do.
Yeah, I would have no problem with that. Someone described to me the other day, I thought it was a pretty good description of the situation. You know, the developers, Matt is a contractor, and contractors are go, you know, get it done in 2 or 3 days, so 2 or 3 months seems like an eternity, but in terms of politics, 2 to 3 months is an eye blink. And, you know, it creates a rub. It creates issues. So yeah, I would have no problem meeting with it. That's fine.
If they able to do it.
Would that be a public meeting?
I think he's talking about an informational meeting without the council being present.
We don't want the council, just the staff between the developers.
No elected.
Well, yeah, because.
And of course, if the council was involved, you can't certainly deliberate, but.
Well, there may be, what I'm saying is there may be some things to mention about potential people coming in that they don't want out in the media, We won't know about it, you know, it'd just be between the people that's under discussed. It'd be the mayor, the attorneys, it'd be client privilege, and, you know, I don't think the council needs to be there. I think it's just the developers and hash out some things that need to be
I
done.
thought all the IDB board meetings were public.
Oh,
They do, they do.
Okay,
But this just be rude to
This will be the chairman.
Be the chairman.
so this just be actually like a closed meeting or discussion.
Right.
And
So the
information
public
will
won't
be
be invited there.
correct.
I didn't know it was.
Then they're gonna have a bar, anyway, behind your back.
All right. Does anyone have anything else? All right, thank you all for being here this evening.